Hello. It says I'm live. Am I live? Am I all plugged in and everything? I think I am. I think I am. Who's here? Somebody's here. Unless that's just like a bot. It could be a bot because look at my thumbnail. I figured I'd be attracting all the freaking bots. That's what I'm after. I'm trying to trap the bots. OMG, you guys. Could this freaking time be any crazier? Please hit your like button if you don't mind, whether you like it or not. No, I'm just kidding. There's just so much to talk about. So I was like literally like with my finger on the button yesterday at 2:00 to start my live when I saw the message from OSU that said, bring Coco in at 2:30. We need to see her at 2:30. So that was not like an emergency, but it was like an urgent appointment. And I got the thing at 2 and I called them right away and I said, I can't get there that fast. It takes me 60 minutes. And so they said, okay, 3:00, that's it. And I was like, well, can we make it 3:15? Because I can leave right now, but I need a second. And they were very testy with me, but I got her in. Everything went fine. She's doing all right. I'm doing all right. It's just one thing after another. The world is blowing up, right? All this crap with our government is just too much. It's too much. I scared off the troll. That's good. So there's so much that I want to talk about. I seriously think I have 6 or 8 pages in my little notebook here. Normally I have like 2 and then sometimes 3 or 4, every once in a while 5. But since I didn't really get to do my live yesterday, I did a pre-recorded on the road on the way there. And I had it up as a public video and then I made it members only because I have some Johnny Cash music in there. So they were like punishing me for that, which, it's not like I'm trying to monetize it because I know that you can't monetize something that has someone else's song in it, even if it's an old song. But man, you got to love Johnny Cash, the man in black. So let me pick up my handy dandy notebook. You know what I'm going to do? You guys don't know this about me, even though I try to be an open book. There's just so much to cover. And, this is only YouTube. It's not like real life, although I try to make it as much like real life as possible, but still. What I normally would do my whole life ever since I was little, when I'm looking at a magazine, I'm one of those people that reads it from the back to the front. So I like to do that with books too. And I don't care if it's a spoiler alert. That's just the way I am. So I'm going to do that with my notes. And what else did I want to say before I get started? Please make sure that you're still subscribed to my channel. If you are subscribed, and if you're not, consider it. It's non-committal. It's free. All that good stuff. We love free, right? It's a free country. Freedom of speech. Serenity now. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like my channel. Turn on your notification bell to ring. And everything that I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All of my videos are made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. My hair is weird because honestly, my hair hasn't been this long in a long time. So I don't really know what to do with it. And I have my emergency hats handy. Do I need my AF hat? I don't want to knock over my computer system. I kind of bumped it. Sorry. Should I do my AF? I think so. I think I should do my AF. I know sometimes people complain because they don't like that it shadows my eyes. But, at least I don't have on my RoboCop sunglasses like some people we know. I'm moving this light to see if it'll help with kind of coming up under the bill of my cap. There. All right, let's just go with it. So Andrew Tate, you guys know who he is, right? He's a sick mofo. And he is somebody that our president, if you can even call him that, That man needs to go straight to the psych facility. He needs both the straitjacket and the rubber room and, like, I don't know, a chemical lobotomy. Will I get in trouble for saying that? I'm not saying to do anything to hurt him. I'm saying to keep him safe from himself, keep the world safe from him. He's so out of control. And if you disagree, please say so in the chat, bots. I think at this point in time, almost everybody can see quite clearly how nuts he is, how unhinged he is. And he's, I don't know, not as bad as the felon that goes by the name Elon. And if you say F-ELON, what do you got? What do you got? I mean, it doesn't matter because nothing matters because, up is down and down is up. And yeah. That was one of the songs that I had in my video yesterday, the Johnny Cash song. Let's see. Shall I play it again? I'm going to see if I can. Sorry for the dead air time. Let's see. I'll fix it by putting in somebody else's song. Are you ready? I'm just going to play it. And I put it on monetization, but I'll change it to not have it be monetized. So it shouldn't matter. If you've heard the song before, you'll love it. If you haven't heard it before, you'll love it.
They sang the mountain ballads and the folk songs of our land. They were long on musical ability. Folks thought they would go far, but political incompatibility led to their downfall. Well, the one on the right was on the left, and the one in the middle was on the right, and the one on the left was in the middle, and the guy in the rear was a Methodist. This musical aggregation toured the entire nation, singing traditional ballads and the folk songs of our land. They performed with great virtuosity, and soon they were the rage. But political animosity prevailed upon the stage. Well, the one on the right was on the left, and the one in the middle was on the right, and the one on the left was in the middle, and the guy in the rear burned his driver's license.
Burn his driver's license. He says, F that, I'm more than a piece of paper.
The curtain had ascended, a hush fell on the crowd, as thousands there were gathered to hear the folk songs of our land. But they took their politics seriously, and that night at the concert hall, as the audience watched deliriously, they had a free-for-all. Well, the one on the right was on the bottom, and the one in the middle was on the top, and the one on the left had a broken arm, and the guy on his rear.
Broken arm.
Said, oh dear.
I'm going to just stop it right there. Broken arm, stop. Like the woman at the town hall meeting on Saturday, this past Saturday, February 22nd, in Post Falls, Idaho, or Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I think that the town hall was in Post Falls, but they're right next to each other, Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene. It was Kootenai County, which we probably all know Kootenai County from the Idaho 4 case. So this little girl spoke, she said stuff, and they were talking. It was like a Republican town hall meeting, and they were talking about Roe versus Wade, and she said women are dying, and she was told to shut the F up, and I think she might have said it again, women are dying. Anyway, it became physically violent. Not her. She was peacefully protesting. It was 3 thugs that came over and put hands on her. There was a sheriff across the room that she recognized because this is a small town, small community. And the guy on the stage referred to her as little girl. she's a doctor and she's run for the House of Representatives 3 times on the Democratic ticket for the state of Idaho. I almost said Ohio. So he probably knew who she was, but called her a little girl. But it doesn't matter. I mean, even if she was a little girl, it's like, is that a crime to be a little girl? I think in Idaho it is. So it brings to mind the situation with the Idaho 4, which I've spoken about since it happened and since I learned about it happening. The last time I checked yesterday on her GoFundMe account, it was over $300,000. That was yesterday. And the goal was only $30,000. Let me see if I can see how much it is at right now. It is just so crazy. How come when I turn the volume off, it still comes on when it feels like it? Not when I want it to, when it wants to. So the female doctor and the college where 4 students get offed, and 2.5 years later, they're trying to pin it on a academic dude with, I don't know, maybe he did it. I don't know. I'm not a detective, but from 2,600 miles away, it doesn't look like he did it. It looks like the frats did it. It looks like the college did it. It looks like law enforcement's covering up for them. And where is that GoFundMe account? It's right here. I'm going to see how much it's at and report to my people. It is over $314,000 so far. And like I said, the goal was $30,000. And I've put links to this in the descriptions of my last couple of videos. And maybe I'll just read to you what it says in the GoFundMe account, what it says on the GoFundMe. It's not too long. But I think it's really important. I think we all need to pay attention. And before I knew this woman's name, and her name is public because it's on the GoFundMe, Dr. Teresa Bornpole, I was calling her Dr. Rosa Parks, that, this might be a big, big thing. I mean, I think it's a big thing. I'm just going to read to you real quick. On Saturday, February 22nd, citizens gathered at a town hall in Kootenai County, Idaho, to speak with elected members of the Idaho legislature about important issues affecting their community. What should have been a peaceful and productive event where people exercised their right to voice their concerns quickly turned into a violation of Dr. Teresa Bornphole's constitutional rights. I'm probably not saying her name right at all. I apologize for that. Bornpole, Borrenpohl. In a shocking and unlawful turn of events, Dr. Bornpole was detained by an unmarked parliamentary squad who also had zip ties in their hands, you guys. Where else did we see those zip ties in the Idaho 4 case? Let's see. Let's hog tie those little girls, right? And an unknown and unnamed group of individuals with no clear authority or justification for their actions. What's even more alarming is that the local sheriff, who instead of protecting Dr. Bornpole, stood by and filmed the incident on his phone after encouraging her violent removal. I think he threatened her with pepper spray too. This detainment wasn't just an unfortunate moment. It was an illegal violation of Dr. Bornpole's rights. She was denied her freedom of assembly, her freedom of speech, and most importantly, her right to be free from unlawful detention. You could say they kidnapped her, literally. Like, they could be charged with kidnapping because they carried her out of there against her will. They took control over her person without authority. This is not just an isolated event. It is a chilling reminder that even in the United States, our civil liberties can be stripped away without warning. This could continue to escalate and happen everywhere. And I'm sure that that's part of the 2025 project plan, in my opinion. Dr. Bornpole is now taking a stand to ensure this injustice does not go unchecked. She is committed to holding those responsible accountable and fighting for the protection of our fundamental rights. But to do so, she needs your help. I think she needs everybody's psychological and emotional support more than anything else. I mean, right now she's got all this emotional, um, just like a tidal wave throughout the country. You know, when I found out about it, I didn't know that that many people would be talking about it, but people are. And then financially, I think she's probably good at the moment, but it just depends. You know, legal fees add up quickly. The legal costs to defend her rights and to ensure that no one else suffers a similar fate are significant. Dr. Bornpole is seeking funds to retain a skilled lawyer who can help her navigate this complex situation, change this unlawful detention, and protect citizens from future violations of their rights. No American should fear being carted away by an unnamed paramilitary force without cause. The protection of our freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and the right to be free from unlawful detention should never be taken for granted. I mean, that's what all of the wars have been about all across the land, right? A lot of people have died for our country to be free. A lot of people have died. And a lot more people will, unfortunately. Let's see. Dr. Bornpole is not just fighting for herself, she is fighting for every one of us. Please consider donating to help Dr. Bornpole retain legal counsel and ensure that this injustice is properly addressed. Your support is crucial in defending our rights and ensuring that justice prevails. Thank you for standing with Dr. Bornpole for the protection of our civil liberties and for the preservation of justice in America. Every contribution, no matter the size, will make a meaningful difference in this fight. Let's stand together and ensure that no one's rights are taken away without consequences. So here we go. Here's an update from 3 days ago. Oh, and you know, tomorrow is Friday the 28th, and you guys are probably all familiar with the don't buy anything Friday from noon till midnight. I'll put a link to that in the description for anybody who's not familiar, who wants to familiarize themselves with it. So Dr. Teresa Bornthal is full of gratitude for the overwhelming amount of personal and financial support she is receiving from the community here in Idaho and across the country. Thank you. She has assistance finding the right lawyers for the fight ahead and feels supported by her community. There have been many requests from media members who would like to speak with Dr. Bornpole. She has designated 3 surrogates who were with her during the town hall and can speak to the media about the incident. Please reach out to get connected. Dr. Teresa Bornpole posted this message on her IG last night. She needs to take some time before she does any interviews herself. It'll be worth the wait. Thank you to everyone who is sharing her story and sharing this fundraiser. So let's see if I can read her Instagram post. I could have never imagined my right to free speech and my right to assemble could be stripped in such a violent way. Due to the sensitivity and shock of the matter, I am unable to speak on the situation immediately, but I will make my voice heard when the time is appropriate. So that's good. That's smart. And I know she's retained legal representation. I'm pretty sure that the Sheriff Norris, I'm pretty sure that he's been put on an administrative leave, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't cross-referenced that. And I think it was off-duty officers that were hired as the paramilitary security. It's my understanding that the local police were out in the parking lot and that they were very upset about what was going on inside, that there were security guards acting as law enforcement. And so it seems that the situation is being handled the way she would want it to be, in the way that somebody like myself would want it to be. But we'll see. We'll see what goes on. It is just so striking to me that this woman was assaulted in that way. I heard that her clothes were torn. When one of the guys said to her, if you would just cooperate, this would be a lot easier. And there's like two or three of them twisting her arm, like looking like they're going to freaking break it. And her response to that is just chilling. I said this in my video a couple of days ago. She said something to the effect of, that's what rapists say to their victims before they rape them. I should have said grape. That's what rapists say before they grape them. And it's true. I mean, as soon as I heard his voice say that, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, that is just chilling. And for all she knows, they're going to go throw her in a white van and take her somewhere, and she'll never see her friends or family again. Seriously, those things can happen, especially if we move into this gazpacho soup situation. Trying to be funny, the gazpacho police that Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about. Oh my goodness. And then once I say gazpacho, I can't even come up with the right way to say it. Gestapo, the Gestapo police, right? So let's see. Today there was a live protest on Capitol Hill. I don't know if it was in response to everything, or maybe a direct response to the cabinet meeting, quote unquote cabinet meeting. And it cracks me up the way people like Don Jr. and Felon Musk misuse the air quotes all the freaking time. Like, they don't understand what, how, why you use air quotes, in my opinion. But these lying liars, they always freaking tell on themselves. And yesterday in that cabinet meeting, felon Elon, or as some people like to call him, Leon, told on his whole Doge team so badly. Did you guys catch this? I caught this and I was just like, unreal. And then again, I was really glad to see that all the news channels were kind of putting it on blast, because it needs to be. The whole thing with Ebola, it's just a little bit of Ebola. They accidentally canceled the funding for the prevention of Ebola, but it was just for a real short period of time, and then they reinstated it. It's just a little bit of Ebola. Like, don't get all bent out of shape about it or anything, right? Unreal that he's laughing about it. Like I said, he's telling on himself. Nobody asked him about the Ebola. Nobody asked him about anything like it. It was wild. It was so wild. So Elon talks too much, but for that we can thank him, right? And he accuses the left of doing exactly what the right is doing. Like, he made some comments the other day about how the propaganda of the news media, like, they'll get 6 Democrats together and they'll start videotaping it and they'll put it on the news and they'll try to make it look like it was a really big crowd with thousands of people. Like, I don't think so. I don't think that that's ever happened except with Donnie and his crew. That's what he's been doing ever since the day that he came down on the golden escalator with his like 50 hired people surrounding him. And he was not trying to campaign to be the actual president at that time, back in, what was it, like 2015, I think. He was trying to campaign to get a bigger paycheck for The Apprentice, because he found out that somebody else was making more money than him. Gwen Stefani was getting paid more for being a judge on The Voice than he was making for being the big boss man on The Apprentice. So He's never really been a successful businessman. He just played one on TV. I mean, yes, he is a businessman, if you want to call him that, as much as you would call any uh, mafiosa thug a businessman. That's where you use air quotes, right? Unreal. So, accusing the left of doing exactly what the right is doing, that's what these folks do. It's like a projection and a confession every freaking day with them. So, all this stuff about the Epstein list, there's always the threats of, oh, we're going to read the Epstein list. Hey, Mr. Michael McAllister, what's up, people? Lovely to see you. So did you see that, and how are you guys today? Did you see that JLR was doing a live talking about reading the names on the Epstein list? I like to call him Little E, and then I like to call Elon Big E, and then I like to call Donnie Little T. I don't know. I think it's good to keep their names out of the algorithm. But anyway, JLR, who I do have a lot of respect for his channel. I know that sometimes, of course, I don't always agree with him. I know that he's had a very checkered past, I'd like to say, but who hasn't, right? I mean, this is real life. But I don't know how that's going because I didn't click on it because I didn't want to get sucked in. I can't imagine that the actual Epstein list is going public. I kind of think it's smoke and mirrors. And we all need to be careful because there are a ton of content creators. I'm not saying JLR is one of them, but any of us could get offered hundreds of thousands of dollars, or let's just say thousands of dollars. I've heard the number 100,000, getting offered $100,000 to make a video that's pro little T. So I don't know what this is. I do not know. And of course, money talks and people fall into those traps. But if you were to accept money from somebody like this, like mafioso type, they would own your hiney for the rest of your life. So just be careful. I mean, yeah, money's nice, but it's not the end all, and it doesn't take care of everything. So if you're under the auspices of cooperating with them one time, they're basically just renting you. They're not buying you, they're renting you. So just be careful. Anybody who's tempted to accept money, Mr. Mark, I know you would never do that. I mean, sure, if your kids are starving, you might do something like that out of desperation, but it will haunt you. It'll bite you on the rear end. And Michael says, my video is lagging so very badly. I'm really sorry that it's really running so very slow now, everyone. Well, again, I wonder if it's because of my title or my thumbnail. So yesterday, there was a video that Don Jr. put on his YouTube channel that he looked higher than a kite, and he was doing this thing with his jaw that I wasn't even aware of. It's I think it's called lockjaw or Coke jaw. But when you do a lot of the soda pop, Coca-Cola, it gives you problems with your jaw, and his jaw was weird AF. I'm going to put a link to the video in the description, not the video from his channel, but the video that I was watching of somebody else's channel. And was it Keith Edwards? No, I think it was the guy Jack Cocachella that I like so much. I think it was his video, but I'll link it up in the description later today. So, yeah, Andrew Tate has been arrested for trafficking. He has bragged about how successful he has been in his trafficking. And he says that one of the keys to his success is that you have to make sure that the girl can't run away. So he finds these women that he can set up webcams and basically exploit them for adult entertainment industry purposes. And he collects all the money and he keeps all the money. And then he says, you have to make sure the girl can't run away, because once they're trained and know how to do this and make the money, they can go off on their own and make the money, and you don't get your percentage, which in his case is 100%. And I've always wondered if that wasn't a thing with Maddie and Kaylee in the Idaho 4 case. I think that most of us who've paid attention to that Idaho 4 case at some point have wondered. And then we kind of forget. Again, we get flooded with TMI, or maybe we get sold on the whole prosecution against the criminal defendant. But I think that the OnlyFans is at the heart of that tragedy. I think that the sororities and the university were making money off of the sorority chicks. And the fraternities forever have always been known to be sellers of the Coca-Cola products. So, running a university is expensive. Any brick and mortar is extremely expensive these days. And running a fraternity or sorority is extremely expensive. That's why they charge the members really high fees. But even with those high fees, there's so much overhead. So they go off on these business ventures. Maybe they're illegal. Maybe they're working with a big conglomerate of a like Extreme Networks, the company in Austin, Texas that Kaylee was allegedly going to work for, that was cybersecurity. Interesting. What a coincidence. So I getting to watch about 2 seconds, and then it's just a circle in the middle of my screen. LOL. Sorry, everyone. Everyone, please have a wonderful day today, and I will try to watch your video, Jazzy. Oh, thank you, Michael. I'm sorry about that. It doesn't surprise me, though. Like I said, I knew that the title of the video and the thumbnail would put me at a risk for the video coming down. So well, I'm gonna speak my truth, so be it. So what about all these immigration cards, the green card, the gold card, the platinum card, the black card, the diamond card? I think you can buy a gold card for a mere $5 million, and then this was like a brand new idea introduced to the public by Donnie yesterday. I think it's called the Trump Gold Card. Unbelievable. He literally says, by buying this card, they will become wealthy. Okay, if they have $5 million to spend on this card, I'm pretty sure they're already wealthy, at least by my standards, maybe not by the big billionaire boys standards. But I want to say that it's kind of contrabandy. That was a quote that Donnie Jr. used in his hunting video. It's kind of contrabandy. And I'd say that everything him and his daddy do is kind of contrabandy, but what a great word to add to our English vocabulary, huh? So the guy who is now in charge of the food and safety, as we're up against things like measles and bubonic plague and new strains of COVID and whatever else, polio. The guy who's in charge of the FDA is a friend of Donnie Jr.'s who would go hunting with him in that kind of contrabandy kind of way, right? And then we've got the whole Office of Talent Solutions trying to rehire people that they accidentally fired. So they're trying to unfire people by restoring their emails and saying, "Oh wait, no, you work on the prevent Ebola team. We need you back. Oh, you work on the nuclear radioactive weaponry. Well, yeah, we need you back. We didn't mean that email to you. We just meant it to everybody else that works for the government because you guys are all just a bunch of parasites. Just a bunch of parasites taking all those tax dollars that we want to take for our own interests because there's just not enough room on planet Earth for all these megalomaniacs. They need to send some of themselves to Mars so that they can own their own planet, right? Is that the plan? Or are they going to just send a bunch of immigrants to Mars? Because I'm pretty sure if you go to Mars, you're going to burn up. I don't think you could go to Mars and not burst into flames. But man, at this rate, we're going to be bursting into flames on planet Earth too, aren't we? I mean, some of these airplanes in the sky already are. So what you going to do? Well, Stephen Miller, if you know this troll, this guy who looks like Darth Vader or the Grim Reaper, he was really generous with his brains and sharing with a reporter how a democracy works, the way a president gets elected and then he appoints staff like himself to be in the cabinet. And he was like literally explaining this to a reporter as if she were a 2-year-old. The sexism is just insane. I don't think Stephen Miller would be saying those same words to, oh, I don't know, Pete Hegseth if he was still a reporter for Fox News. But all of these people are just jokes and they are not funny. And then you get into the ratings and they literally don't know anything about ratings. And they also don't know what that word literal means because just like they misuse the air quotes, they misuse the word literally. They literally misuse the word literal. And I've seen Elon do it. I've seen Donnie Jr. do it. These people, how do they even live with themselves? Like they are on a path of destruction, like not just destruction of everything in their path, but self-destruction as well. So I heard this new term that I'd never heard of until last night. Have you guys heard of super AI? Obviously you have AI, which I used to call fake intelligence or false intelligence, artificial intelligence. And now we're moving into super AI. So super AI can train AI. The problem with AI is that there's problems. So you can't rely on it without human supervision, in my humble, non-super AI opinion. We've got these companies like OpenAI, Meta, Google, Stargate that are all taking over the data of the world, and they will have us all on lockdown where none of us will be able to move about freely if they don't want us to. If there's no such thing as cash money, pennies are already being deleted. If we're dependent on using our electronic payment cards for everything, it'll be easy peasy for banks and authorities to just turn yours off, even if you have plenty of money or credit available to you. They can just say, oh, there was a glitch in the system and you weren't able to buy groceries. Sorry, you starved to death. But sorry, not sorry, right? I kind of have been thinking for a while now that our little T El Presidente is kind of like in the death throes. He's 78 years old. I can't remember when his birthday is. He'll be 79, obviously, on his next birthday. That was how old my mother was when she passed away. And did you guys see that big bruise on the back of his hand the other day? Like the whole back of his hand was black, like the way my 4 fingers are covering the hand. And my mom would get things like that on her hands and forearms right at the end of her life. They kind of came out of nowhere, and it was really creepy. It's really creepy to see that on El Presidente, especially because they probably put all kinds of makeup on it and you can still see it right through the makeup. They should have done like the Michael Jackson, like the One Glove, right? Just tried to make him look hip and cool. So one of the best videos I've ever seen in my life was just dropped this morning by The Daily Show. And it's this guy who, it's just like a 3-minute video. And he says that he trained he trained the Big E on how to move like a human. And it's so freaking funny. Let me see if I can play that for you. I think I can. But first, let's skip over the ads.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Elon Musk.
Double fist. And double fist and roar.
My name is Jan Lehman. I am Elon Musk's normal body movement choreographer.
Normal body movement choreographer.
I'm responsible for all the very normal movements you see Elon Musk making with his body on a daily basis. Elon is a wonderful figure. He might not necessarily have the coordination of a great dancer, or the talent or ability, general control over his limbs, but he does have the money. I would rate his dancing somewhere between Stephen Hawking and Michael Jackson. After he died. Luckily, I'm one of the great choreographers on this earth. One of my proudest routines is Elon's trademark X-Leap. I worked for weeks.
X-Leap. X-Leap.
I was really struggling until I watched some children performing for Kim Jong-un. That's Elon. Beautiful. Did you see it, Mother? He did look like a kangaroo with Lyme disease. That was the point. You don't respect my craft.
You don't respect my craft.
My first big gig was actually a stage production of High School Musical on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I've choreographed dances for some of the great super rich dancers of our time. Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, and Yo-Yo Siwa. 3 days before the inauguration, Elon told me he wanted to develop a signature move, like Trump's double handy.
Double handy. Gross.
He wanted to send his heart out to the crowd.
Send his heart
He
out
told
to the
me
crowd.
he wanted it to look like Adolf, referring, of course, to the 20th century Russian ballet dancer Adolf Bohm.
Adolf Bohm.
So we worked and worked until eventually we landed on our final solution. Elon's about to send his heart out to the crowd. People are going to love it. Just watch. Here he goes. He just... Oh, no. That must have been a mistake. Surely he won't do it again. He did it again. Okay. My heart goes out to you. No, of course I didn't know he was going to do that. He was supposed to send his heart out to the crowd. It was supposed to be like this. Obviously, that is not what we rehearsed. Please don't fire me, Jojo.
Please don't fire me.
Things have been
It's almost
hard
over.
since the incident. I lost my job,
The
my
incident.
house, and my scarf. But I did land a new job. I have been asked to be the singing coach for RFK Jr. Okay, it's la la la, not.
Okay, I know it's kind of immature to be laughing at such things, but laugh or cry, right? Oh my goodness. Let's see. So I got to tell you guys, because you know how much I love comedy. Stephen Colbert is a big one. Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Seth Meyers. Those are like my top go-to. Bill Barr is really funny. I'm not that familiar yet with his work. I also really like that Josh Johnson that I got to see perform live a couple weeks ago. And Sarah Cooper. So you guys maybe have heard me talk about how I discovered Sarah Cooper like the same night that she dropped her first video. And I will put a link to that first video in the description in case you don't know which one I'm referring to. But even with that first one, and so she's famous for doing the lip syncing of President Little T. And when she was doing the lip syncing on that COVID vaccine, inject bleach into your eyes or something video, I honestly, literally thought she was splicing his sentences together. I didn't think it was just like a 1-minute piece of him talking uninterrupted. I was just like, that's ludicrous. And I actually thought that was the whole point of her making that video, was to show people that it was one take, that he said all those things in one take. I thought that was her whole point, that she was trying to say, look how crazy this is. This guy said all these things in 60 seconds. This is uncut. This little clip of him speaking is uncut. And pretty much that's how all of her videos are when she's doing her lip syncing. And when he's saying it, yeah, it sounds crazy, but considering the source, you just kind of go, okay, yeah, we're used to that. He's doing the weave, and he makes like a woman's figure. I'm doing the weave. Ooh, I'm so brilliant. I'm going to start saying that about my YouTube channel because, I'm kind of all over the place like little D. So I'm just doing the weave. I'm just doing my live weave because I'm that smart. I can do it. I can almost always remember what I was talking about. Anyway, what was I talking about? So Sarah Cooper, funny, absolutely crazy. I think that's it. I think I got my point across. So in that crazy cabinet meeting yesterday where the big E was roaming around freely because he literally did not have a seat at the table, right? It was the cabinet meeting. It was supposed to be the president and the cabinet members. And for some weird reason, there was a television crew in there. I don't know. It's like they're making a TV show or something. You're fired. No, you can't fire me. I quit. You can't quit because you're fired. Okay. So the big E's roaming around and little T sitting there in the middle of the big table. And he says, Big E, why don't you take it away and talk some crazy talk? Because I just don't have enough brain power right now to do it. And so Big E I think he's drinking out of something. Because then he squats down to the ground and he sets it down. And I could swear he's setting down his cup of whatever it is that he's drinking on the floor, even though there's like a giant table right there. Because that would have looked even weirder if he leaned over people and set his cup down. But you would think he would just like turn it around and hand it to somebody, since everybody is his slave anyway, in his eyes and maybe in many of their eyes as well. So he started talking all crazy talk when he was talking about just the little bit of Ebola. But the other thing that he said, this was the other thing that he said that all the news casters were giving a lot of attention to, because I watched the whole thing, and these were the two things that struck me the most too. David Lawrence, he's amazing. He's on MSNBC, and I love him. I would vote for him for president in a heartbeat. And I would also vote for Don Lemon, I think, for president. They should both run on the Democrat ticket, right? Bernie Sanders, love him, but he is getting a little up there, and I'm sure he's tired. But he will fight to the death for all of us. He's just that kind of hero, in my humble opinion. So the fake praise that Elon was giving to the cabinet when he said, I think it was right after he said that stupid crap about the Ebola. And then he said, oh, but let me just tell you guys that you are the best cabinet that's ever been assembled in the history of cabinets. I mean that. I don't give out false praise, which, why are you saying it in this meeting, totally out of context from anything, just like out of the blue? And then why are you defending it when nobody accused you of giving out false praise? I don't know. I do not know. But you might talk to Ashley St. Clair. She might know a thing or two. You know, the woman that bagged him and had his baby and then let everybody know recently that she had his baby 5 months ago. So then you had Bobby Brainworm sitting there at the table with little T, and you guys, did you see this part where RFK Jr. is literally coughing while he's talking about the measles outbreak? He's sitting there at the table in the cabinet meeting talking about the measles outbreak in Texas. And I didn't know until he said that there's actually been 2 deaths. I knew that there had been 1 and that it was a small child. So I didn't know the news about the 2. But he's literally coughing. Like, first, I think he coughs into his hand. And then at one point, he coughs without covering his mouth. I could swear, but it's so unbelievable. You see it with your own eyes, and you like do like the cartoon thing. You're like, and your eyes bug out of your head, and you're like, is that really what I saw? Impossible. But I do just need to reiterate that the pattern of recklessness that the Department of Efficiency, the Department of Government Efficiency, the pattern of recklessness is so freaking inefficient. The firing of people and then the unfiring of people, but not being able to let them know because you lost track of how to contact them when you just kicked them to the curb. I also heard that Doge quietly canceled 5 of its main projects that it was kind of bragging about the most, that it just up and canceled them quietly without saying anything to anybody. And as hateful as little d and big E are, I got to say, one of the most hateful other people right now in this whole cabinet administration, in my opinion, is that Caroline with a K, Levitt. Okay, she's like little Miss Goody Two Shoes who loves to like flip out and attack people over nothing. And somebody in my chat a couple weeks ago or a week ago said, isn't she married to a guy that's like really, really old? And yes, she is. She's married to a guy who's more than twice her age, and they only got married last December of 2023. She'd been running for a political office and she didn't win the seat, but she met her husband and they got married December 2023. And then she had his baby on July 10th. And unless that baby was like 2 months premature, that means she might have been copulating prior to her wedding day, which I just can't imagine being the good Catholic girl that she claims to be. Unbelievable, is it not? Unbelievable. Then she ended her maternity leave because 3 days after the baby was born, there was that fake, I said fake, nobody else will say it, but I'll say it, the fake attempt on little D's life. That was so not for real. Like, he literally did this. Everybody look over there. And then he like swatted his ear like a freaking mosquito was on it. And nobody will say that it was fake. Like I literally knew that it was fake right away. And that was before he was looking for his shoe, because I missed the part about how he was like, where's my shoe? I can't leave the stage without my shoe, because everybody's going to see that I've got a 3-inch lift in there. Like, you just can't make this stuff up. How do we even keep up? Anyway, thanks for being here, you guys. I really appreciate you. I'm going to keep on because, like I said, I have so many pages of notes, and it's just overwhelming the amount of information that I want to share with you guys. And then my inability to come on live because of all these other chaotic responsibilities. Doggie's doing well at the moment, ATM at the moment. So I'm ever so grateful for that. It's just been a ton of time, money, and effort that's gone into it. Totally worth it, but nobody else in my family can really do it. So it's me. It's all on me. And man, me and that dog have bonded. I mean, we were already tight. We are so tight. She'll even let me put the silver like antibiotic cream on her baboon butt wound that is so sensitive. Like if you blow on it, she goes through the ceiling. But she now allows me to put that cream on it. I mean, I'm really careful, and I always give her treats when I'm doing it, but still. She still likes me, even though I've taken her to all these appointments and, you know, touch her little baboon butt. I'm very, very gentle when I do it. And I do it with a glove on, and then I put the cream on really thick, and then I turn the glove inside out as I pull it off and toss it in the garbage. And I give her pills stuffed into snacks many times a day. And yeah, I'm just babying her. Absolutely babying her. So what else? That Gestapo brown shirt crap there in Coeur d'Alene. The little girl, they said the guy on the stage, the old Republican man, started saying like, and now the little girl's afraid to leave. She doesn't want to suffer the consequences of her actions. And it's like, no. Hey, Jackie Bushable, what's up happening? What's happening? What's up happening? I'm so excited to see you. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Is she too afraid to leave? It's like, man, first of all, she was very unafraid to do what she's done already. And yeah, she probably was afraid to allow these strangers to manhandle her and remove her forcibly. That's just frightening. And then to be trying to summon the sheriff to intervene, or for at least she asked him directly, Sheriff Norris, are these your deputies? I don't know who these people are. They won't identify themselves. They're putting their hands on me. Please tell me if these are your deputies. Because if they said, you know, I'm law enforcement, even if they didn't show a badge, she probably would have went along with them because she was fully aware of her rights and fully cooperative within the parameters of the law. And she knows her rights and she knows the law, which unfortunately most of us don't. And even me, being married to law enforcement, I'm not that well informed about all my rights. Fortunately, I have somebody in-house I can consult with who's much better than Google, right? It's kind of like you don't want to consult with Google for medical advice. You want to go to a medical professional. So I wanted to say this about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, you know how much I love the whole thing with the gazpacho police. It's so funny, like the gazpacho and gazpacho. Like, yeah, I can see where anybody could confuse those words. Like once I say one of them, it's hard for me to say the other. But she should be able to just laugh at herself about it, right? And just go, yeah, that's funny. I said gazpacho police when I meant the Gestapo police. I mean, who didn't know what she actually meant? And a lot of people have probably never even heard of gazpacho soup. It's a cold Italian fine delicacy of cucumber and tomato with a little bit of dill. It's delicious. It's especially good on a 100-degree day when you're not going to want soup. Have yourself some gazpacho, please. Gestapo, please. gazpacho soup. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about all of this crap with the tax money and how, it's becoming apparent that Doge is not being honest about anything, and they're not actually finding these bazillions of dollars that they keep saying that they're finding. But Marjorie Taylor Greene said the funniest thing yesterday, or I saw it in a video yesterday, so it might have been from the day before, where she called the Americans tax people. Well, the context was ridiculous. And she was kind of talking down to all of the tax people. She meant the people who are paying the taxes. She called us tax people. I don't know. Unless you work for the IRS or you're an accountant, I wouldn't call anybody a tax people. But that's just me. What do I know? So Caroline, with a K, Caroline Levitt's hubby is named Nicholas Rico, the guy who's more than twice her age. Riccio. So Riccio. Nicky Riccio. Is that right? Nick Riccio. Anyway, it just kind of reminds me of like a gangsta last name like Rizzo. Riccio. And he just happens to be in real estate, which I thought was interesting since, the little D is also dabbling in real estate ventures, right? So, a lot of the stuff I talked about in my video yesterday that I then made members only. Maybe I'll go ahead and make it public. It's just me driving down the freeway, kind of doing my loose association weave of how the Idaho 4 case and the doctor, I like to call her Dr. Little Girl in the Post Falls, Idaho town hall meeting, how those two cases kind of intersect for me in my crazy imagination, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. So I was going to, what is this? I was going to do a video yesterday about this terrible situation, absolutely terrible situation. If you saw my thumbnail from the video for yesterday, and it's a woman who was unalived in Africa, South Africa. Ellie Warren. Ellie Warren. So she was deceased in Mozambique. Am I saying that right? I thought I wrote it all down here. I don't seize it. Here it is. Yeah, South Africa, Ellie Warren, 2016. So Mozambique, I think, was the country. And she I was going to say it happened in 2017. It happened in 2016. So that's like 9 years ago now. And it still hasn't been solved. It was only this past year that it was finally changed from being completely whitewashed as like a rug overdose or just accidental, natural, self-inflicted type of thing. Literally, natural, accidental, self-inflicted type of thing. She was graped and red rummed on the beach. They literally stuffed sand down her throat. That, I think, is how she passed away, was from the asphyxiation of the sand. And then they moved her and put her in a different place where it was different sand. different dirt. So they knew that she'd been moved from where they had stuffed her full. And I should have said trigger warning. I apologize. Anyway, her father is not giving up on this case. Her dad's name is Paul, and he moved there in 2017. He moved to where it happened. I want to say it's the name of the town is called Tofo. Anyway, the police were covering it up, and he has had to fight tooth and nail to get it changed from overdose or accidental to actually homicide. And it's obviously a homicide. Like I said, she was explicitly assaulted in that most violating, disgusting kind of way. Her shirt was ripped. He is actually wearing the t-shirt that she was found in that's ripped, like from the waist all the way up to the shoulder. He's wearing it in some of the videos of himself. So he just got this case rectified to where it's now legally on paper a homicide, but finding out who did it is a total another story. K-Mac, hey, I have been on while you see I missed an hour. That's okay. I'm glad you're here. So yeah, this case is so sad. Ellie Warren, and she was like early 20s, I think, when it happened, maybe 23 years old. I think I wrote down her birthday and so I could figure out her age. Absolutely devastating. But what is so significant to me, and this is why I want to go ahead and talk about it in tomorrow's video at greater length, is that there's similarities with Kylie Rodney's case. Absolute similarities with Kylie Rodney's case. And it's fascinating to me how I'll see these other true crime mysteries that I think have absolutely no parallels with that case, with what happened in Truckee on or near August 6th of 2022. And then it's so similar. So with this, again, they said that it was an overdose. They said that it was self-inflicted. They said that it was accidental. They said that she was not SA'd, even though her, again, trigger warning, her pants were pulled down and her underwear were pulled down too. And the way they positioned her when they moved her remains, they call it a Muslim prayer position, but that's also, again, trigger warning, kind of like a doggy style position. Saying it's a Muslim prayer position is a much nicer way of phrasing it. But her pants and underpants were torn off. They were like still kind of on her person. Her t-shirt was torn completely and it was still on her person. I want to say that there were marks on her neck. There were a lot of marks on her person. Like she'd been beaten. She'd absolutely been beaten, but none of that is mentioned in the medical examiner's report. What does that remind you of? I missed it also, K-Mac. Aw, you guys are so sweet. I appreciate you so much coming in. Yeah, Mr. Mark and Michael McAllister, I think were the only ones that were here. And Michael was saying that he was, I was roboting, so he was going to catch it on the replay. But, you know, I appreciate all of my viewers, and whether you're here live, whether you're on the replay crew, whether you're able to comment in the chat or the comment section once it's posted, I just appreciate that people want to hear what I have to say, because it's just overwhelming to me. Like I've just been in this absolutely crushing, overflowing, just I would imagine that everybody in our country that's paying attention to the news is there's too much information coming at us. And it's crazy. Did you guys see the freaking video that little T posted yesterday of himself called Trump Gaza? Did you see that freaking video? Like, the first video that I saw it on, I was like, did he post it or did a troll break into his account and post it on his Truth Social? Either way, it's really bad. It's really bad if somebody could break into his account and post it pretending to be him and then nobody taking it down. And it's really bad if it's him that posted it. And apparently it's him that posted it. And it is so crazy. It seems to me to be such an obvious distraction tactic, because I want to say it was the night before last that he posted it, because it was being talked about yesterday. So yeah, it was the night before last that he posted it, probably at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m, the way he does. And then people were talking about it yesterday, like all the talk show hosts were playing it and talking about it. And if you've seen it, you'll know, because it has like the giant gold statue of him in the middle of like the fake town square of Trump Gaza. And, you know, he's all tall and slender with like super long legs, kind of like Slender Man, but gold. And obviously him, not Slender Man. But yeah, it's like half the size of his width. And I don't know if he's projecting that he's going to be doing a bunch of Ozempic like Elon did. But anyway, back to the point. The point is that crazy MF video is beyond insanity. And he's so far beyond insanity. And if they do invoke the 25th Amendment, where they, you know, put him on a medical leave, that he's incapacitated, that would leave JD Vance in charge, which would be possibly worse, if it is possible to be any worse. I mean, not that little T is in charge, because we all know that the big E is in charge, right? K-Mac, how did you not see it? Oh my God. OMG. It is funny, not funny. It's so cartoonish. It's so perverted. I mean, there's like really disgusting, overly sexualized stuff. There's him and Vladdy in their skivvies sipping on girly drinks by the pool, really, really close together and unairbrushed and not flattering at all. Like I said, you would think that some troll put that up, not him. You would think that he would be irate over it, but apparently, allegedly, he's the source. So I think that what a lot of us are thinking, and my first thought is that it's just a distraction tactic, that what kind of other crazy stuff is going on, you know, like canceling the Ebola protection, canceling the staff that keeps us safe from nuclear disasters. And why does he keep talking about all these fantasy jobs that people are going to be getting when he's taking all these people's jobs away? These professionals, I mean, thousands of jobs he's taking away. Oh, that's what he did the night before. That's what he did. He canceled the Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security the same night that he posted that freaking video. And KMAX says, yes, I saw it. I thought that wasn't real. I know. So you saw it and didn't realize it, because that was the first thing I thought too. Like, the context that I saw it in was a content creator saying that he posted this. And I was just like, there's no way he posted that. And they were even saying maybe he didn't like review it. Maybe his team handed it to him and he put it up without reviewing it. I guess that's possible. I mean, the man doesn't seem to do his homework. OMG. Yeah. So again, it works. It's a great distraction tactic because, we want to talk about how ridiculous that was rather than the ridiculousness of canceling Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Like, maybe they're not 100% canceled, but they're manhandled. And then yesterday in that freaking cabinet meeting, he said, no, I won't touch those things. Like, how do you just lie so easily? And then when these people get caught in a lie, when they get confronted, and it's like people show them, like, no, look, you're lying. Then they tell like 12 other lies to try to cover it up, and they just don't even care. That's what you call professional gaslighting. Professional gaslighting. So I don't understand how this has gone as far as it's gone already. I definitely think that our election was tampered with, not just by the big E paying people and putting them in lotteries for $1 million to get them registered to vote. I think there was much more tampering than that. In fact, I know there was. There was a whole lot of voter suppression going on where they were purging voters out of the system, especially in Georgia and especially Black voters. I think one of the Black voters that they purged had been in the same house for 50 years, and she was a direct descendant of Martin Luther King, and she was still alive, and she wasn't able to vote because they purged her, saying that she didn't live there anymore. I'll put some links in the description to some of the informative videos that I've seen about such things. So Jessica Denson had an expert in election fraud on her channel a few days ago. And so he talked about it at length. And I've seen him speak before, and he's very well versed. And, it's an extremely boring topic. So it's hard to really focus on it and pay attention to it, especially when, you've got gold member going on with his freaking Gaza gold card, or the American gold card. OMG. Yeah. It just floods your brain. It floods your imagination. And then you just got to tune it all out and focus on what's real and what's important, which is your own health and the health of the people around you. And then we see that these people are going after our health, that they're going to allow crazy, horrible diseases to spread like wildfire. Measles, polio, Ebola, the bubonic plague, what do they call it? Black Death? Which one is called Black Death? Ebola or bubonic plague? I have it here in my notes. I do. Bubonic plague is the one that's referred to as Black Death. Ebola is referred to as hemorrhagic fever. And then they fired the head of the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, the guy who'd been there for like 20 years. And Don Jr.'s hunting buddy got put into that position. And Don Jr. was hunting these like giant squirrels in another country that have the bubonic plague. This was a Rachel Maddow video that I was watching earlier today. I'm sure you guys are probably better versed in Rachel Maddow than I am. I should have been watching her for a long time, but I hadn't until more recently. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. It is an 11.5-minute MSNBC video called Qualifications of Trump's New Food and Drug Administrator. Food safety official seem even worse. I just got to see what the country was where he was, the marmot. So the marmot actually has, oh, I hate the automatic ads and all that crap. What country was he hunting it in? Was it, maybe I'll just play the beginning of the video for you guys. So, the bubonic plague is in this marmot that people would eat for some reason, and even eating it raw and then dying of the Ebola. Let me see.
Agree. I hereby posit, can we all agree that one thing that's bad is the bubonic plague?
Oh, sorry, I thought it was
Now, admit
Ebola.
it, you thought I was going to say Nazis there, didn't you? I know, but we're now at the point in U.S. politics where that can no longer be the go-to example for thing we all agree is bad.
So we've got both the bubonic plague and Ebola going on, because Elon confessed that the Ebola research was briefly canceled accidentally, but he fixed it, no problem. And then we got the bubonic plague too. So we got both in real time.
So I'm going to try to reset a new baseline for us here in 2025 in the United States of America. Is there anyone out there who does not agree or who doesn't get that the bubonic plague is a bad thing? The bubonic plague has its own era in human history. The Black Death years. There was an 8-year period in the later part of the Middle Ages in the 1300s when bubonic plague ripped through Europe. It killed 2/3 of the entire human population of Europe.
2/3.
In 8 years. It killed 25 million people.
25 million.
Bubonic plague is an infectious disease that kills you quickly. You get it from a bacteria that is carried by rodents. They call it the Black Death because you get huge swollen lymph nodes and then you start turning black from gangrene. I mean, literally, it's the worst thing in the world. It's the worst plague to have ever afflicted humankind in all of human history.
Maybe that's what's on the back of Trump's hand.
And you can still get it. You can still get it the same way people got it during the 1300s in the Black Death years. You get it by contact with rodents that are carrying this particular bacterium.
The marmot.
It's not common for people to get bubonic plague anymore, but it does happen, particularly in a few specific spots in the world. So over the last few years, for example, you might have occasionally seen, alarming headlines like this one. A couple ate raw marmot believed to have health benefits. Then they died of the plague.
Hate it when that happens.
Or this one. As bubonic plague kills another man in Mongolia, Russia starts mass vaccination against Black Death. Or this one from roughly around the same time, quote, Russia cracks down on marmot hunting after bubonic plague alert. And actually, I should mention, all those stories had to do with Mongolia, specifically with people.
Don Jr. went hunting for marmot to eat them, probably in Mongolia. Hold on.
Getting bubonic plague because of contact with marmots in Mongolia. Marmots are basically big squirrels. They look like groundhogs.
They are cute.
They're very cute.
Very cute.
But they're big squirrels. And sadly, they are among the rodent species that can carry the bubonic plague. In fact, in some marmot populations in some parts of Asia, bubonic plague is endemic. It's really widespread in the population of those animals. So after incidents like these ones in 2019 and 2020 that occasioned those headlines that I just showed you, Mongolia had like a dozen suspected cases of bubonic plague,
4 or 5
and people
years
had started dying.
5 or 6 years
and so
ago.
In Mongolia, a few years ago, they banned the hunting of marmots
to try to stop people from coming into contact with marmots, to try to stop a new tide of literally the worst thing on earth, which is bubonic plague. Because again, we all agree, right? That bubonic plague is bad.
I don't know. Is that worse than Nazis?
And that is why it's illegal to hunt marmots in Mongolia.
They're both lethal.
Because just within the past few years, people have been catching bubonic plague thanks to contact with marmots, and they have been dying from it. Those news articles I showed you, that was incidents documented, people getting bubonic plague because of contact with marmots in Mongolia. That was 2019, 2020.
I think that's when Don Jr. was
in 2022.
Nope, 2022.
Guess who went to Mongolia to do a hunting show about killing and eating Mongolian marmots?
It can't be true. It can't be. Which is worse, Nazis or bubonic plague? Let's
not the blonde son, the other one.
Exactly.
He has a magazine and a social media company, I think it is, about hunting. And this video posted online by his company in 2022 is captioned by his company, quote, Don Trump Jr. eats a rat in Mongolia. Hey, that's not a rat. That's a marmot. So this is a little bit gross, fair warning, but
yeah,
here's me showing my work. Here goes. Here's me proving it.
So I'm gonna stop it there, and I will put a link to this in the description along with all those other links that I've mentioned. There's a lot of them. So why in the F are these people doing this? I really believe that they want everyone to be gone and contract the bubonic plague or Ebola or measles or polio or COVID or fatal flu or whatever. I really believe that these greedy billionaires don't want to have to share resources with other people, and they see all of us as just a bunch of cockroaches. Anna Bees, thank you. I was afraid you guys might say, Jazz, you're so paranoid. Don't be so negative. Don't be such a negative Nancy, right? It's the only way any of it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. These people are so effing greedy. Literally all the money in the world is not enough. And why can't they just understand that it's not about the money? Like, obviously they want love and respect like any human does. We all want love and respect. And they think that being the richest person in the world will gain them everyone's love and respect. But no, it might gain you everyone's fake adoration. They want the weakest to move to another plane, another planet. Yeah, well, I really think this whole thing about Mars is like they can send people there and, oh, whoop, they burst into flames. Let's try it again. Oh, another few 100,000 on the rocket ship that we sent there. They also burst into flames. We'll just keep doing it until we get it right and just keep bursting them all into flames. And making people pay for tickets to go there on these rocket ships. And let me just end with this. How come we can't bring back those two that have been stuck in space for 8 months? 8 months. They were supposed to be up there for 8 days. Those two astronauts stuck at the freaking space station. I thought, when I first heard about it, I thought, wouldn't that be the smartest thing for Big E to do to make himself look like the hero, is just bring them back? Maybe he doesn't have all these like skills and abilities that he claims that he has with his stupid freaking Tesla and Stargate and all this crap. Maybe he can't bring them back. I had not even thought about that. I bet he can't. If he could, he would, because then it would win him everybody's praise. He'd be the hero, rocket ships, airplanes. Right. They're all bursting into flames. Yeah, I don't think he's smart at all either. He might know some calculus and stuff. I mean, he's got some types of smarts, but not like the kind that humans need. And that whole thing that I showed you, Anna, if you go back, if you catch the replay crew later, and I'll put the link in the description, is the funniest video I've ever seen in my life that the Daily Show dropped earlier today. It's the choreographer who taught Elon how to move more like a human. And like one of the things that I've wanted to say on my channel that I haven't said is when he was doing his Resolute desk Oval Office thing with his boogery son and the little D sitting at the desk, the way he was like moving his hands, do you guys remember that? It was so awkward. I'm thinking that he is part robot. I mean, I know he's a real human, I think, because, you know, he's got family. He's got like a brother and a sister and a stepsister who had a couple of babies with his biological father, and his mother. They were all from South Africa. His mom was from Canada. And then he's been trying to say that Canada is not really a country. His mother was born in Canada. Anyway, I'm thinking that I've thought for a long time that he probably already has installed some computer chips in his own head. And maybe that's why he doesn't know how to move human. Maybe the artificial intelligence is interfering. And that's why when he jumps and makes his X shape, it's so bizarre. It's so unhuman looking. Maybe he's effed up the wiring in his neurology. I bet you he has, you guys. You know, neurobiology, neuropsychology is kind of where it's at. I bet he's effed up. I bet he's fried his neurons. I mean, the rugs will do that too, and he's obviously abusing substances. But then if he's doing all this weird, like robot electronic stuff in conjunction with substances, that's what's wrong with the man. That's why he forgets that his kid is behind him. Like, you guys have seen that videotape where he's walking down the steps, the little 4-year-old is behind him, and then as he gets to the bottom of the steps, he just takes off, and that little tiny kid is walking down those steps by himself, and there's people around, but that little kid could have tumbled down those stairs. Plus, it's just sad. I mean, his father like literally forgot that he exists and just abandoned him because he had more important things to think about. Oh man, it just drives me nuts when he tries to say, "Oh, that's just because I'm autistic." It's like, shut the F up. There's plenty of people on the spectrum who don't forget how to be human, okay? That's not it. Like maybe that's a whole nother issue. Maybe you're on the spectrum, but that's not what's causing the stuff that you're trying to blame it on. And that's doing such a disservice to everybody who is on the spectrum. And I think a lot of people are on the spectrum for Asperger's and autism. Anyway, let me catch up with you guys before I sign off. It's been 90 minutes. I could go on longer, but I don't know. I don't like to make my videos too long just because I know not everybody has a couple of hours or even an hour to watch a video. So I like to try to break them down into shorter chunks and even shorter than what I've been doing. They've been getting longer because they're like less frequent. So then when I am able to come on live, I want to just keep going and going. It's hard to end it. It's hard to hang up, I like to say. And Anna B says, yes, I saw that. So yeah, today's the 27th. It's Thursday, the second to last day of February. Tomorrow's the 28th. And it's going to be like the No Shop Friday or something like that. I wrote down what they're calling it. It's like this whole campaign to try to make a impact on the politics. Us American tax people, we can do it because it's the economic blackout is what they're calling it. Have you guys heard of this? So tomorrow on Friday the 28th from noon to midnight, it's an economic blackout. Um, yeah. So, and the thing that I was talking about that I want to talk more about tomorrow with that poor young woman, Ellie Warren, is that it seems that it's a gang of rug dealers that did that to her, and that's who the police are protecting. So I think that that's similar possibly to what we've seen in Idaho at the University of Idaho with the Idaho 4. I also think this might sound like a stretch, but I think that that could well have something to do with the Kylie Rodney case. Certainly rugs are involved. Certainly money's involved. Certainly the whole like gang cult type of thing is going on. He's the biggest racist ever. He just hates people. I don't think he only hates people that aren't white. He probably hates people that are white too. I think he hates everybody. You know what it really is, Anna Bees, and this is the truth. Self-loathing. The MF hates himself. So he's projecting that onto everyone else on the planet because he can't admit that he just hates himself. His brother, who's close in age to him, is his name Julian? I forget his brother's name. He seems like a really nice guy. Like they started a business together when they were still up in Canada. I think they moved to San Francisco together. The business got super successful really quickly. And then I don't know what his brother's been up to since then. But yeah, he's just hateful. I think he hates everybody, but that stems from self-loathing. So he just needs a really good shrink, right? He needs one that can work with him like 24/7, 365. I mean, he might be past the point of no return. I know he likes to use that phrase, past the point of no return. And that's a phrase that's used specifically with rockets, with air flight. I mean, you can use it metaphorically and you can use it with anything. But, you know, it simply means that, like, if you're in, for anyone who doesn't know exactly what it means, and most people I'm sure do, but if you have your gas tank full and you're flying from the United States to Africa, and halfway through the flight you find yourself in trouble, you have to decide where you're going to land. Are you going to go back to where you came from, or are you going to continue on? So if you're past the point of no return, that means that you don't have enough gas to get back to where you came from. You're past the point of returning. So I don't have a mental health background. So I do have a mental health background, as you know, Anna Bees, and I'm licensed to diagnose people. It's not accurate to diagnose people that you haven't met in person. You need to sit down and have a face-to-face, but it's obvious, I think, even for someone without a mental health background, that Elon and the big E and the little t, that they both have severe mental health issues, severe narcissism, severe sociopathy. And I mean, I could go on, but like I said, it's not accurate to diagnose from a distance. You have to meet with somebody in person. You need to ask them a lot of questions. You need to see if they really meet the criteria or if it just seems like they meet the criteria. And yeah, we've got sociopaths in these positions of power. I don't think they got there legitimately, and I wish that they would just get kicked out. I think that they legitimately belong in prison. And, you know, if it's that they're a danger to self or others due to mental health, then they would just need a rubber room and a straitjacket and maybe some electroshock therapy. Kidding, not kidding. But if they're simply deranged, narcissistic sociopaths and they're criminally insane, I mean, they're they might be geniuses in the sense of like criminal geniuses, like they know how to manipulate and they're conniving and they are coy, but they're not smart. They're not smart at all. The whole cabinet needs to go to jail. I agree, Anna Bees. You're just a rebel rouser, aren't you? No, I mean, you look at somebody like RFK Jr., and it's like, obviously, he would not be sitting at that table if he didn't have that last name. And even with trying to like trash his own last name, I mean, his family has pretty much disowned him. And then all of this weird stuff that that little T has done, like appointing himself headmaster of the Kennedy Performing Arts Center. And I use the term headmaster, you know, director or what have you. And now he has scheduled the J6 choir. Like, this stuff is absolutely cartoonish, except that it is real life. It's very, very similar to the type of crap that Arnold, Mr. Adolf did. Yeah. That guy, you know, I don't like to say his last name. Adolf H, we'll call him. So, yeah, I think I'll wrap it up here, you guys. I am just kind of at the end of my rope. No, I'm just kidding. It feels good to get it off my chest, and I love talking with you, Anna Bees. Oh, you didn't know the thing about the J6 choir that he's scheduled to perform? Don't you want to get tickets? Okay, Mac. See you next time. Well, thanks so much for being here. And yeah, have a really good rest of your afternoon. It is just about 4 o'clock here on the Eastern Seaboard Standard Time. And I hope that you can get some fresh air and sunshine. Stay well nourished, stay well hydrated, take really good care of yourself. And love and light. I will put all of those links in the description, but it'll take me a few hours to get that done. So, all right. Thanks so much for being here. You guys mean the world to me. And Anna B said, no, I didn't know that. That's so far out there. I'm heard he was now president of a lot more things. Yeah, it's crazy. So what I was going to say about Adolf is that he was an artist. He was a failed painter, which is why he liked to control art museums and trash people's art, because he was jealous. They'd just be jelly. All right, you guys. Love and light. Thanks again.